Hi, welcome to Titan's Table. This is Chef Costas with Southwest Legacy. Today we will be making pasta, and I have my assistants today, Serenity and Harmony. They are my nieces. To make homemade pasta, it's very simple. We have the ingredients here. It's 2 cups of flour, 3 eggs, a tablespoon of olive oil, and a teaspoon of kosher salt. But today, since we are a big family and we are in quarantine, we're doubling that recipe. So we'll go ahead and get started. Ladies, go ahead and come over here. We're gonna go ahead and we have our flour in the mixer. We're lifting it up, right, with the handle. Make sure that it's locked so that it doesn't go anywhere. We're gonna put it on low speed to stir. We're gonna go ahead and add it. So you want to tell us that was, since we multiplied it?
6. You originally need 3, but because we're doubling it, we put 6 eggs.
So then we're gonna go ahead and also add in our kosher salt and our olive oil. And as we do this, you're gonna see it start to clump together. We just want it to form together, and once it forms a dough-like shape, we'll add some flour, go ahead and knead it, and we'll let it set for 30 minutes. So it has to creep. So, start to shape a bit. So once it gets to that form, we'll go ahead and stop it. Lower it, take off the paddle. We want to get the bottom of it because there's some flour that didn't get there. And if you need to, you can mix it again. A little bit more. So in order to knead it, to form it together, we're going to add about a teaspoon of flour just to take away the stickiness from the pasta. You can see how it formed there, and we're going to knead it by hand, form it together so that it doesn't stick. So that's what you want to do first before you add more flour. Just go ahead, same thing. So add about, get about a tablespoon of flour portion here. And this process, you do have to kind of hurry it up. If you do not, it will get them. Elephant skin is basically just the cracking of the flour. So where your hands dry. Okay. And so as she does that, I'm gonna go ahead and get a bowl. We're gonna add a little bit of olive oil on top to kind of coat it, and we're gonna get damp cloth covered. And we'll be back and showing you how to go ahead and roll out the pasta and cut it. Hi guys, welcome back. So as our pasta is actually resting, it takes about 30 minutes to rest. We're gonna go ahead and start with our blackened chicken. Here we have some cut up chicken breast. If you did not have cut up chicken breast and you needed to actually fabricate your whole chicken, I did find these cutting boards at home. They come in a pack of 4, which I thought was awesome because you know how we have different colors cutting boards at school. So you know they have the yellow for the chicken, they have the green one for the vegetables, and of course the red is always for pork or beef, and then the blue I'm gonna go ahead and use for when we do our salmon fillet. But since this is already cut up, we're gonna have Serenity place the chicken in here. And being that she's touching chicken, Harmony is actually going to place the spices in there so she doesn't contaminate everything else that she's touching. So we have our chicken breast, and then add a tablespoon, or actually that's a teaspoon, right? A teaspoon of black pepper, a teaspoon of garlic, and add it. You're just gonna sprinkle it real good. Make sure you get it all out. Use one finger too. We got a teaspoon of kosher salt. We have a teaspoon of cumin. 2 teaspoons at a time? 1/4 teaspoon at a time, so times 2, that's about 1/2. And we have a teaspoon of paprika. So as she gets all of that in, we're also going to drizzle some olive oil to be able to coat it all up, make sure the spices hold on to onto the chicken breast. So how you would drizzle it, use your fingertip if you're unsure of how to hold, but I'm pretty good at measuring it out, so I'm just gonna kind of drizzle some that's good, or something, and just go ahead and mix it all. You wanna make sure that all of your chicken breasts are covered. All right, so we're going ahead and place our chicken breasts in here. Make sure your pan is hot. If it's not hot, the chicken breast will stick to it, and it's just gonna absorb the oil rather than actually cook and sear it. But as you can see here, we're gonna let it set for about 5 to 8 minutes on each side. You really want the herbs to really cook into the chicken breast. You don't want to so we're just gonna let it set. Occasionally, if you feel that you don't have a pan that's really good to cook with, you could move it around. Make sure it's not stuck. And if it gets stuck, lightly pick it up, but don't flip it.
That's to ensure that it doesn't gradually stick to the pan itself.
But that's it for right now, and we'll go ahead and show you the finishing product.
Sounds great. We'll be right back.
Alright guys, so welcome back. Pasta has cooked for about 30 minutes, as you can see. What I'm going to go ahead and do, as you can see here, I cut a portion of it. You want to keep the rest covered with the humid rag because you do not want the pasta to get the elephant skin. So I'm going to go ahead and drizzle it with a little bit of coat it with a little bit of flour, proper terminology. I'm just going to kind of mess with it for a bit to soften it and take away the stickiness from the moisture. See, it looks real nice and soft, kind of like a tortilla. For those of you who make tortillas at home, kind of like those balls of Colitas tortillas. Add a little bit of flour. Here I have a KitchenAid pasta roller. If you do not have access to one of these, you could always roll it out with a rolling pin and cut it by hand, pizza cutter. Sometimes if you go to stores, you can find the actual pasta cutters. I couldn't find one. It seems like a lot of supplies are scarce right now. You could even use a paring knife. But for my sake, I'm gonna go ahead and use this. So we're gonna make fettuccine, same thing. Put in the tool, tighten it, put it on stir, and he's gonna feed it. And as he feeds it, I'm going to guide it.
And this would be a great project for you guys to do in the kitchen together as a family, work together. I know that we're doing it in quarantine in the house right now, so this would be a great project for everyone to get in the kitchen and do together. It'll help. So as we're feeding it into the mixer, the cutter, he's guiding it out to ensure that we don't drop it on the floor or have any accidents that we shouldn't have.
Just make sure that it also doesn't clog up. It's also another thing. Because we are working with kind of a doughy, wet substance, right? So as you can see, sometimes it gets a little stuck. You could lightly guide it, but you kind of want to let the machine do the work for you. And if it does get stuck, then just kind of pull it. Okay? So as you can see here, we have our product. I'm going to get the camera pretty closer.
Closer.
So we have our finishing product, right? This is our fettuccine. And we're gonna go ahead and come over here and hang it. Now this is a pretty cool technique. They sell hanging rods for this. What I went ahead and did is I got a curtain rod. All right guys, so welcome back. As you see here, we went ahead and semi-blackened our chicken. So when you look at this, you can see how the flavors have actually seared into the meat. We went ahead and locked in the juices. So we did about 5-8 minutes per side. Now the oil is kind of hot. It is popping everywhere, so you want to be cautious, right? If it's a little too high, you want to drop down the temperature. The breast has actually cooked to the temperature we need it to be, which is 165 or higher. As you can also see, I have clean tongs. So we have our tongs for our raw chicken, and we have our cooked chicken. So you always want to make sure that you have two different sets of tongs. All right guys, so now that we went ahead and grilled our chicken, I'm gonna go ahead and place it in the oven at 350 degrees. You want to make sure that your oven is preheated, because if it is not, then it's not gonna cook to the temperature you need. here we went ahead and hung our pasta. We have our chicken in the oven. We're gonna go ahead and move on to the salmon for this part of the dish. And we have our blue cutting board for seafood with our fillet knife. And we have our salmon here, which we're going to fillet off the scales. I have my assistant, Harmony, AKA Hermits. And I also have, for tools, we have a wet rag underneath the cutting board so it doesn't slide. We also have a bowl of cold water because we're gonna rinse off the fish from the scales, right? Make sure that there's no scales left on there. So in order to fillet a fish, this feels very sticky and slimy first. Not mercy. We're gonna go ahead and lightly nick the skin off. You want to be careful not to get the meat, but as you can see, I have more. You kind of get a closer look. Here. Looking closer look. So if you actually look, the fillet has a nice brown crisp to the top of it. Then she's gonna go ahead and use a lid. You don't have to use a lid, you could just cover it. But I like to use a lid because I like it to kind of get a steaming cycle to it. Okay, and you want to be careful not to touch the fish because then the flakes, it's a very delicate protein, right? And we may have already got burned. Alright? So you could always move your other fish if they're in the way. You gotta flip it. Get it? There you go. Okay. Kind of just go under. Flip it. Real nice. You're gonna leave it on this side for I want to say about another 5 minutes. Cover it and let it steam.